la la la, niko kwenye maskani.
Tulianza na kesi za wanawake katika katiba. Kwa hivyo tukawa tunawahamasisha wajue ni nini ambacho wanaweza kupata katika katiba. Alafu pia tukawa tunazungumzia juu ya umuhimu wa wanawake na vijana ama youth kuchukua nafasi za uongozi, kwa sababu mimi nimetoka pahali ambapo sana sana vijana na wanawake walikuwa hawapewi ile nafasi ya kuchukua hizo nafasi za uongozi. Walikuwa wanaona sababu labda ya ile hali ya itikadi zinasemekana ya kuwa wanawake hawawezi kuongoza. Lakini kutokana na hamasisho ambazo tumefanya sasa, nashukuru kwa sababu vijana wameingia katika uongozi. Kuna wodi moja ya kwetu ambayo imepata kijana mdogo sana, chini nafikiri ya miaka 27. Alafu tumepata pia mama ambaye ndiye women rep wa huko, ambaye pia ni mdogo sana, wa Mombasa County, anaitwa Mishi.
Na ukiangalia vile watu walipiga kura, civic education ilifanya kazi?
Kwangu mimi haswa kule nimetoka Likoni, civic education ilifanya kazi, kwa sababu mimi kidogo kulikuwa pia na ile resistant ya hawa watu wa MRC, na walikuwa wameambia watu wasichukue kura. Lakini katika hali ya kuwaonyesha faida za kuchukua kura, kwa sababu huwezi kusema ya kuwa hutaki uongozi mbaya na ukakunja mikono ukakaa nyumbani ukasema ya kuwa uongozi mzuri utakukuta.
Na mulihamasishaje watu kuhusu kupiga kura
kikabila? Sisi kusema ile kweli kwetu kulikuwa hakuna kabila, kwa sababu ile sehemu ambayo nimetoka si sehemu ya kabila, ni sehemu ambayo inakaa kila mtu, awe ni mkabila hii ama hii, lakini sote tunachukuliana ni watu wa moja. Lakini kidogo kulikuwa na mlengo fulani ambao ulikuwa una nguvu kule, ndio.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Titus Morevi. Mimi nafanya kazi ya civic education. I'm a TOT with UN Women. Now you find that in some places, in the interior places of this Kenya, kuna pale ingine hii mambo ya civic education hajafika, na kuna pale ingine hata watu wawezi kutofautisha kazi ya the national government na the county government. It's very interesting to find that in a place like Garibatura and Kenya in Isiolo South, hata watu wajafikiwa na katiba. Therefore, we request the government and the donors that they should pull up their socks, let them go to the interior. Most of NGOs are concentrated in places where we have urban areas. Therefore, we request NGOs and the government to make sure that they have gone even to the interior to make sure that people understand, Kenyans, the ordinary Kenyan citizens understand the whole concept of devolution, the whole concept of the county government, the whole concept of the national government, and all these kind of things. Yeah.
Other than voter education,
yes.
What else ndio mlifanya nini ingine ya make sure watu wanaelewa katiba na haki zao na kila kitu kinachowashughulikia?
Sasa ile kitu tulikuwa sana sana tunahusika na conduct seminars. We could move from one place to another. Now you find that the interior places, kulikuwa na a lot of challenges. For example, in some part of Isiolo, one of the challenge is kuna a lot of insecurity. Even movement is so from one place to another one. Ilikuwa ni shinda. So also the place is so vast, ni kubwa sana. So we require more civic educators from the donors and also from the government. Challenge nyingine ni kuwa also the means of transport. Sasa nyingine haiko. Mobility itself kutoka pale moja kwenda pale nyingine inakuwa ni ngumu sana. Yeah.
Kuna issue ya watu kulipwa wakitenda seminars. What's your view on that?
That one now, it's a concept with community members almost everywhere. When you call people for seminars, they'll ask for payment per day. Therefore, it's like ni kitu ishaingia kwa akili za watu. If I attend a seminar, I have to be paid. And
does that hinder civic educators from doing their work?
Yeah, it hinders so much because now you might tend to go to a place where you do not expect people to ask you for money, but when after you have trained them, ukishawaambia ile kitu ulikuwa unataka kuambia, then you find that they are asking for transport reimbursement or something to take home at the end of the day.
And when you don't pay, what happens?
Now here you find yourself in serious problems. Some of them now, most of the community members down there in the interior, they have that concept that whenever we are called for any seminar, either by donors or by the government, we have to be paid. Now, when you come from maybe from an organization which did not give you some money, so that you can give the same to the people, then you will be in a serious problem.
So way forward from that?
Now it's maybe the government, the donors and the government to increase funding, because at the end of the day, when you go and spend the whole day with the people, at least they'll need something to take home.
Don't you think Kenyans also need to change their mindset?
They can if they understand, but now the mindset now is that whenever you attend something, you have to take something home. Also, we're asking Kenyans, when you find that there are people from people who are coming to tell you something that you do not know and understand, please, you can just understand that these people, what they are teaching you, or rather what they are coming to explain to you, is far much better than that money that you'll take home, maybe 500 or 1,000. Yeah.
Okay, Civic Nyambura. I'm the Sheriff for Mandaranawak in the county of Nyandarua. I'm working with the UN as a TOT for civic education and voter education. Yeah.
So the major question is, apart from civic voter education, what else have you done to make Kenyans understand more of the constitution and mostly the rights and what they're supposed to do as citizens?
Kile tunafanya upande ya grassroots, tunaenda kwa vikundi ya kina mama. Saa ile wanakutana, hata kikuwa hatuna funds, tunaenda tunaongea nao akina mama, tunawaeleza vile hii katiba iliwasaidia wakati ule walipitisha, hawako wakijua vile inamaanisha. Lakini wakati ule tulienda kwa hao akina mama, tulienda tukawasomesa na our mother tongue. Tukawaeleza vile katiba inawasaidia na vile wanaweza kusimama viti, na wakati ule tulianza kuwasomesa wali understand kila kitu na paka wakasimama viti mingi sana. Hata sasa sasa vitu zote za development akina mama wanatetea hizo viti. Hata ukienda kwa board za mashure, mama wengi wamechaguliwa tayari. Ukienda kwa PTA utawakuta huku. As myself, I'm the director for the water board of Nyandarua. Na mimi ni mwanakamati wa board ya shule 3. That is Huruma Secondary School, Yechungo Secondary School and Olokalau Secondary School.
Okay, from the education in
yeah.
Kuna wamama wengi walikuwa elected to the posts zilikuwa nasimama.
Ile shida tulipata, akina mama wengi walisimama wengi sana kwa sababu ya hiyo education tuliwafundisha. Lakini ile tambu tulipata ni kwanza hii nomination za akina mama wakati ule walifanya ndio waingie kwa parties, wakasimama na parties, wengi walianguka kwa sababu hata wakati hawana finance, hawana pesa, hawana magari ya kutembea kufanya kampeni zao. Hiyo ndio ile challenge tulipata huku kwa grassroots. Lakini kila ward wote walisimama akina mama. Hata tulikuwa na mama moja alikuwa amesimama deputy governor. Walikuwa nashikana na governor wetu. Alafu huyo mama wakati ule nomination iliiza na huyo governor akachaguliwa, akamtupa nje, akachukua mzee. Hapo hiyo ni shari jingine ile tumepata huko grassroots.
So mnaona ni solutions gani
kile tumesema wakati huu, tumesema akina mama tutaenda tukiwasomesha, tutaendelea paka election ifike. Ndio mama akisimama asikufe moyo haraka. Alafu tutawasaidia with the materials na tutawasaidia with the information zile watakuwa wakisema. Kwa sababu hata sasa tumeanza kuelimisha grassroots women na wasee na hao youth wetu wasitegemee sana pesa, kwa sababu pesa unaweza kutupa a good reader, ukosa good reader kwa sababu hiyo good reader hana pesa.
So
lakini
pia hata wazee mmoja nao,
hata wasee tu hiyo ndio ile kasi sasa tunafanya, kwa sababu the civic education tulikuwa tunaweza wasee, youth and women.
Rachel, I come from Nakuru County. I work with Fedwen. Yeah, they have a branch there, so that's where I work.
So from the civic education you're doing, is it mostly about voter education or civic education as a whole?
I think it was mostly about the voter education because the funds came so late, so we couldn't have that time to educate people on the civic education as per se. So like what we did the voter education part.
And how successful was it?
It wasn't a bad one, but like the time limit was a big challenge. Yeah.
Through your education, whatever it is, the education you are giving out to the public, what did you do to ensure that they don't vote along to minutes?
Like, okay, we really tried to tell them the right way to vote. Like we tried like to do the civic education kidogo. Yeah. So.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Mohamed Salim na nimetumwa na organization ya Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims nikiwa na represent county ya Meru. Ndio.
So from Meru, civic education ilifanywa wapi?
Meru civic education tulifanya kwa kutembelea wananchi katika sehemu mbalimbali, makundi maalum ya vijana, kina mama, wafanyakazi na wanabiashara. Kwa hiyo tulipata nafasi ya kuongea nao, ingawa muda wa kukutana nao ulikuwa mdogo kidogo. Ndio.
So recommendations zako za ensure that voter education gets to the right people, what should you recommend?
Mwanzo kabisa wajua, wakati tukifanya civic education ulikuwa ni wakati vile wa campaign na wanasiasa walikuwa wameanza kuingia. Kulikuwa na interruption nyingi ambayo watu wengine walikuwa hawataki kuja kwa sababu wanadhania wanasiasa walikuwa wanakuja baada ya mikutano yao wanapa kitu kidogo. Ilikuwa challenge kwetu sisi. Kwa hiyo ningependelea kama tunaweza kufanya miradi kama hii kwa wakati mrefu kabla ya mwaka wa uchaguzi. Tuanze mapema, iwe ni program kama ni miaka miwili ama miaka mitatu kabla ya mwaka ule hasa wa uchaguzi haujafika. Ndio tupate nafasi nzuri ya kujipanga na kutembelea makundi yote yanayohusika katika uchaguzi.
Kwa hivyo maoni yako ni tusifanye elimu ya mpigaji kura ila tufanye elimu ya mwananchi?
Wajua kuna vitu viwili tofauti. Kuna ile elimu ya kujiandikisha kama mpiga kura na kuna elimu ile ya kujielimisha kama mpiga kura, na vitu hivi viwili vinaambatana lakini ni tofauti. Mwanzo lazima mwananchi ajue ni vipi atajiandikisha, na pili vile ni lazima ajue ni jukumu lake lipi. Akishajiandikisha, ikifika uchaguzi atamchagua nani na kina nani na ni kwa sababu gani. Ndio. Asante.
My name is Josephine Aska. I'm from the Federation of Deaf Women Empowerment Network in Kenya, based in Nyeri town, but we are a national organization. So the civic education I did in Central, Nyeri, Kirinyaga and in Nakuru.
So what challenges did she go through, especially in targeting people with disability?
Okay, the challenges which I faced as an organization, the time was really short. Our group needs long and slow training for them to understand. So we had to rush everything and it was really challenging. The materials were not enough. We made our own material, but it was not enough. And also at the time of training, some people with different disability, like the mentally challenged, the deaf, the blind and the physically challenged were all there. We were planning for that we wanted to incorporate all types of disabilities because they miss this information. So we wanted to care for all. And also the constitution was really technical. The language there is really technical. It's hard for most of them to understand. So we tried to find ways to make it simple for them to understand. Yeah.
So what's her recommendation when it comes to civic education? Is it about civic education or voter education?
We did both civic education on the constitution for people to understand the constitution so that they can be able to know their rights, and also we did voter education. In the area of voter education we did very well. There was no problem, but the area of civic education and the whole thing about constitution, it needs a lot of time. It was so rushed, so we didn't do that well. So it needs a long time, 3 to 5 years for them to like really internalize this thing. When you like take one day, especially for the slow learners, they miss a lot of information, so they need a lot of time, like 3 to 5 years. A long process, so that by the time they are doing the elections they are informed, then they can make uninformed choices, and then they can influence other.
Bigger picture, if you look around the whole country, when you have disability you are already lagging behind, and then the material is hard to get to you, and then when it gets to you, you can't read it or you can't use it. And then involving the persons with disability themselves, there are those who are able to get the content and be able to reach out to other groups that are within the reach or in their homes or in their schools. So far some things have been done well,
okay, so
but there's room for more to be done.
Do you think the information that was being addressed in this civic education conference will actually be disseminated to the people living with disabilities?
Yes, there was representation of persons with disability within the conference, so they will be able to take back what they've learned. And then also the organizers do fund organizations for persons with disabilities, so they'll put whatever comments that we've made into the actual implementation or considerations. Like Uraia, for example, they've worked with the Association of the Deaf, they've worked with UDPK and other organizations. So they'll take whatever we've talked about and take it back to those organizations and implement them.
In every
area. Like one of the things that came out was, yes, we've organized civic education, but have we thought of the groups that we are missing? Persons with disability who are probably in far areas. For example, you're organizing a conference in Turkana. So it's already far, it's marginalized, and then within those communities, yes, there's still persons with disability who probably wouldn't get to the venue in the towns, but if you went further into the remote areas, then you'll be able to get them.
Okay, so my name is Mohamed Murshid. I come from Mandera County. We have been working with Uraia in this civic education program. I represent an implementing partner organization called Mandera Mediation Council. Yeah.
So during the process, what challenges have you come across?
Okay, the process of civic education was really very interesting, but we encountered a few challenges. Among them included the civic education program actually came at a time when there were political campaigns. So because of the political campaigns, our civic education could not be that much effective, even though we tried our best to deliver the results. But because people were much interested in the political campaigns and what the politicians had to say, and even in some cases there were situations where politicians were paying money to buy votes, and as you are holding a forum, a land cruiser or a politician, a candidate will come and they will all follow to that political rallies. So that's one of the challenges. Among the challenges we also faced is the fact that the people were not much participating, and it also has a background on the political situation, but because this was a new thing we were doing, the people were not that much participating. And also the other thing is that the program was a bit shallow in terms of financial provision. So whenever we hold a workshop, the public are used to allowances, where they are given allowances, but our program was not given that, so we had to adjust to that. Yeah, those are some of the key challenges we faced.
So what do you think is the way forward?
Yeah.
From what has been discussed, in your own opinion, what do you think is the way forward?
Yeah, the way forward, one of the most essential way forward we will actually recommend is that this kind of program needs a time frame quite longer than the one that has been, given for us to implement the programs. So we will request the donors to give us a good time frame, and then the other thing is that where we would like to get grassroots effective participation from the grassroots, the women, the children, the youth, the elders who are at the grassroots should be able to participate in this program. So it should be a community-owned program. And that needs actually a lot of pre-consultation, assessments on the ground, and then we will hope that the program will deliver more results, better results than the one.
Final question. How did the government participate in the civic education process?
Well, there was a government initiative, the KICC, the Kenya National Integrated Civic Education, but it was not that effective. For one of the main weaknesses, KICC have not had a direct consultation with the community. They gave the programs to partners who they gave that responsibility of implementing it. So because of that, missing linkage between KICC and the community, the program was not that helpful, but it really helped in terms of providing materials. Actually, some of the materials provided by Uraia has come much later, but the one of KICC was a bit before that, so we were using the KICC materials to give out the seminars, the workshops, and the meetings with the target groups. So it has helped us in terms of material provision, but in terms of community participation and the objective of the government in providing the civic education was not that, it was not that much. It was not that much effective. Yeah.
Yeah, the conference was very good. It was a very good initiative by Uraia to calling all the partners. Okay, calling all the partners from the country, around the country, that implemented the civic education. It was a big success for the organization. They learned a lot. We have heard about the transition, how the transition is going to be done and how it's supposed to be done. We've also learned about all the other groups, what the methods that they used to implement civic education, and we've learned from them and they have learned from us. So basically that's what we've learned.
Na ni challenges gani mlikuwa mmeface as a civic educator in Meru County?
In Nyeri County, one of the challenges tulikuwa nayo ni mambo na disability. So there were people who had multiple disability. For instance, a person that we found who was deaf and blind. But this person, how do you give civic education to such people? It was a big challenge to us. Secondly, we had a lot of political interference with our sessions, and this one made us made the public not have trust in NGOs, because walikuwa naona it's like we are politically we are maybe coming into the politics of the country. Okay, civic education is broad. You can look at civic education. The first time civic education is introduced to Kenya was during the Momonyoko of Udongo. But now voter education, now it's about voting. But civic education is just enlightening people about the current happenings.
Okay, what you carried out?
We carried civic education on the constitution, and then we did voter education on during the voting period. Voter education. Because now it was a voting period, because if you look at the funding that we received, the funding was received 2 months or 3 months to voting. So what we did most was voter education, not civic education. Yeah, the turnout was very high. If you look at the voting maybe in our regions, it was very high. And then we had less spoiled votes in our regions. So it bore fruits.
And were the youth involved in the civic education, or that's they were maybe running off to campaigns?
Mostly the youths, no, they were not so much involved in the civic education, because they were used by politicians to run their campaigns. So basically, even if you look at our attendance, most people were women and elderly people, not youth. What do I think about voting on tribal line? Okay, this is something that will take time for us to change. But it is done by politicians. The politicians are the people who come and spoil the people and tell them, if you vote for this person, you're voting for this tribe. So it's about...
Do you think politicians overshadow civil society?
Yes, yeah. In voter education. They never did voter education. They were just concentrating in their campaigns. So voter education was done by civil society.
And how did the politicians overshadow?
They overshadowed us because now people had interest at that time. The period that we given money for implementing civic and voter education was during the time for voting, and people listened to politicians more than the civil society.
Actually, the conference was very, very important, and it highlighted a lot of activities that touch each and every individual in the country. It was basically on civic education, but it went to an extra mile of talking about, focusing towards the realization of the Constitution. Also, it touched on transition authority, the devolved government. Actually, it's basically towards the implementation of the Constitution. Yeah.
Do you think what was discussed is towards the right direction?
Yeah, it is towards the right direction. And people are now they have more information regarding, because of the different organizations, each and every organization has been talking about their views and stuff. So because of that, now they are towards the right direction.
Okay. I think this conference that we've held over these last 2 days has been historical in terms of us being able to bring together government, development partners and civil society to discuss and to reflect on civic education. So in terms of some of the things that have come up is that our civic education programs need to go off the tarmac. It needs to go out of towns. It needs to be able to reach people in very rural and remote areas. We need to be able to engage the youth for them to understand what civic education is, for them to be able to participate in it and to feel that it's relevant to their everyday lives. We need to engage persons with disabilities more in terms of being able to have them work closely with us as civic educators and also as recipients of that information. In terms of moving forward and our work with government, we are actually calling on the Kenya government to adequately allocate resources towards civic education. It's important that the Kenya National Integrated Civic Education Program does not end with the Jubilee government. There needs to be commitment from the Jubilee government that they will allocate resources towards civic education and that they see that role as being one of their primary roles. So we need civic education at the national level, but we also need civic education at the county level. Through the county governments, in the County Government Act, provision is made for civic education, and therefore we need all the county government, all the county assemblies to actually already start developing the civic education curriculums. And Uraia is willing and ready and happy to work with them to develop their curriculum. So we need civic education at the national level and also at the county level. In terms also of moving forward, this was not just a talking shop. There's a lot of information that we have been able to receive from our civic educators and from implementing partners, and that's going to be fed back into the Uraia planning for its work work plan up to 2015 so that we can ensure that we are actually responsive and help Kenyans understand they do have rights and responsibilities.
We representing Maskani, tuko Maskani.